Good morning, lovely people. Welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat. This will be, well, not my Knackers Yard, I suppose, a bit of a midweek update. So it is currently Wednesday. I am going into central London for work. My sat-nav seems to be taking me in a really weird position. Although I am a bike commuter, I tend to train it sort of 50% of the time. I've got no option today because it's a tube strike. I don't know which fucking way this is taking me, but hey, yeah, it's a tube strike in central London, so just randomly fucking decide you're going to do that then, huh? Well, this is pretty. This is amazing. Not been here before. Oh, I know where I am. What a weird way to take me. I did wonder what's down that bottom bit. I normally just turn down there. Anyway, yeah. So I'm fucking randomly talking to myself. Nothing new. So yeah, it's an enforced bike today. Race is fine. The weather's quite nice actually. It's nice and sun's out, a bit chilly. Update ahoy. First update, an ULEZ update, and not a rant by way of a change, because I realise I'm doing a lot of those at the moment. I've had an email from TfL that says your bike is now ULEZ compliant. I'll drop a screenshot of it up here because it is quite confusing. It says it doesn't say your bike, it says your vehicle, and it's obviously a generic letter they send out, because it also says, but you're eligible to the congestion charge if you're in that zone. No, you're not. Motorbikes don't pay the congestion charge. I've checked. So anyway, it's all slightly confusing. What I've also done, I mean, the email arrived yesterday, so I gave it a day, I gave it a night, I gave it time for their databases to update, then checked today, this morning, to see whether or not the database has been updated, put in my license plate, and it's still showing up as non-ULEZ compliant. That's not really in a rush, to be honest, because let's face it, the engine isn't even in it. Yeah, I have emailed and said, how long does it take you to update your thingy? It also says something weird on there about, yep, it's ULEZ compliant until, I think, September. I mean, you'll know better than I do, because I would have put the screen up. When DVLA databases will be updated. Well, the database is already updated, because I've got the V5 that I sent you a copy of. So, yeah, none of these things are simple. Or at least as simple as they should be. But yeah, we'll see. But anyway, the whole ULEZ process is complete for Kit. Kit is now ULEZ compliant. It's not mobile, but he's ULEZ compliant. Are you going to be quick? Or are we going to try and kill each other? I think we're going to try and kill each other. Let's do that quick before I get wiped out. Yeah, so ULEZ complete, hurrah! And I'm chuffed. And I might, bearing in mind I've done a video before on how to an upload before on how to register it as historic. I did promise how to do the congestion charge bit. I might have a look at how I've done that and just produce that as a standalone for people to find. Oh, excuse me. So that's done. The other update is that Tango should go at about 2 o'clock Friday afternoon. So that's getting picked up. I do at some point or another need to run it to make sure it still fucking works. It hasn't moved for a very long time now, so I need to just give that a quick check over, and I may try and do that this evening, really, or probably Thursday, and see how we go with that. So I've got a bit of space in the garage. I say I got a bit of space in the garage. I should really fill that space with the Aprilia that's kind of loitering under a cover at the moment. I say I should, I'm not going to, because I fucking hate that bike, and I'm probably just going to sell it on. But what it does mean is that I have some space in the garage. Now, looking at Mick and the XJ650 and the what next bit, now I think, you know, there was part of me, I knew this wasn't happening, but there was part of me that kind of hoped I'd open the sump and there'd be, you know, angelic harp chords, ta-da, or da-da-da-da-da, no, whatever, that sounded a bit strange, and the starter clutch would just show itself to me. I know that's not the case. I know it's further in the bike, and I know that I need to split that bottom end in half. Oh dear, somebody's not having a good morning, poor sod. So what, I need to do a lot more on that engine, a lot more, because I effectively need to strip it in half. So what, my current practice of having it on a little rolly deck on the floor and pushing in and out ain't gonna work, for two reasons. One, I managed to get that engine out without damaging the engine or myself by sliding around on the floor, just taking the sump off. My back hurts. I've not done anything bad, it's just, I'm just twingy. I don't want to be doing that for the next few weeks while I sort that engine out. And I'm not an old man, but I'm not a young man either. So I need to have a think and a rethink. So what? So I need a bench. I do have, well, more of a side than a bench, it has to be said, in my garage at the moment. It's certainly not big enough to put an engine on, nor is it particularly strong enough. So what? So I'm going to put a bench in the corner, or in the corner on the side, and get the engine up on it. Now that sounds like a nice simple premise, really, doesn't it? Get a bench, put the engine on it. When I'm thinking about it a little bit more, it suddenly becomes a bit more complicated. To start with, a bench that has to take, I don't know how much that weighs, I think it's something like 90 to 100 kilos. Well, that ain't simple. Is that then a workbench? Well, workbenches, for one, are fucking huge, generally, and I don't really want to lose that much space. For two, they're not particularly cheap either. Now, I'm not saying I want to cheap out and get something, but actually the ones that are, you know, like reasonable prices just look flimsy, and I really don't trust, you know, my body weight in an engine, and I'm going to be leaning on it, it's going to be leaning on me, etc, etc, etc. You know, I don't really trust that on some sort of, you know, IKEA kids table or something. Nor do I want to go ahead and invest in a full-on workbench, etc, etc. For one, I don't know whether or not I'm going to keep it, because the more space I trade out, the less space I got for bikes, and I might end up restricting myself to one project at a time by space, if nothing else. Now that sounds fine, I've only got one pair of hands, so I can only work on one bike. But then you get to elements like, well, once I've done it and I'm trying to sell it on, and it takes a while, like the Phaser has, then I'm a bit screwed. So I'm a little bit 6 and 2/3 at the moment as to what to do. I think I have a solution, and I think it's the way I'm gonna go forwards, but we shall see. And as ever, my solution is homegrown and slightly shitty. What I did yesterday on the way back from another work trip, that makes them sound fun and exotic, it wasn't, from another uncle travelling that piece, where I drove rather than took the bike, because like I say, my back was a bit meh. I stopped off at the local garden centre and bought some pallets. I didn't buy some pallets, I picked up some pallets for free. So what, I think I'm going to make a bench, and the reason I've gone for that option is because it's cheap, it's disposable. If I've used it for this project and I want more space again, I'm just going to collapse it and bin it. It's a damn sight easier than getting a big bench. So what, I'm effectively going for I've got one, I don't really want to say a solid pallet, but yeah, as in it's not got gaps in it, some solid surface to use as the top, and then I want to use the two sides as legs and bolt it to the wall so it doesn't go anywhere. Which should mean it's about as solid as it can get, which is fundamentally the plan. Sorry, I've gone quiet because I just don't fancy dying this morning. Excuse me. Yeah, so that should mean that I've got a nice solid base to work from. Fucking hell. See, traffic's fine, it's just other people. What are you doing, dickhead? In, out, shaking it about, or what? You gonna pick a lane? It did warn that traffic was going to be heavy today. I think anybody that would normally be on the tube is currently sat in their car in front of me. Prick. Yeah, so workbench. Where was I? Workbench. Yeah, and that makes a workbench. Now if you look at my various uploads and think that I really butcher metal when I'm doing any sort of pseudo fabrication work, you should see me with wood. Oh, that sounds like a channel in itself. You should see me with wood. In fact, don't Google that. Particularly if you're not, if you're at work. Yeah, I am no carpenter, but I'll give it a go. Actually slightly embarrassingly, because most of my family is, and my brother's a carpenter and joiner, now a draftsman more than anything else. My father's done much the same over the years in window fitting, kitchen fitting, etc., and I'm not. Big proof that there is no genetic learning, because I haven't got a fucking clue, but I'll work it out, I'm sure. So effectively I'm looking at a rail across the back, against, screwed into the wall, two legs, a left and a right, and a base on the top. So I should, ideally by the end of the weekend, have a workbench of sorts, or have a platform to put the engine on, which is fine. I've got a platform to put the engine on, but how are you going to put the engine on the platform, Matt? I'm not entirely very sure. Now the one thing I am pretty sure of is that I can't manhandle it that high. I've tried looking up its weight, and it's something like 100 kilos. It's effectively my body weight, plus a bit. Now I can lighten that load slightly, I can take the clutch off, but that's really not that much fucking weight saved. I can try and bully either my wife or the kids to pick up the other side. I say kids, they're fucking teenagers, but they're also millennials, so they're weak. Yeah, so are they millennials? I don't know, I lose which generation it is. They're fucking they're Gen Xers, that's it. Gen X? No, I'm a, oh bollocks, I don't know. They're young and skinny and not strong enough. So I've looked at engine hoists, and looked at them and realised how fucking expensive they are. You know, for anything half decent, you're looking 250. The favourite option seems to be the higher one, where effectively it's, you know, it's in the region of 30 to 40 quid a day. Many of them with, you know, minimum of 2 days, and a £250 deposit, which seems a bit harsh, to be honest, because £250 deposit and hiring it for 2 days, you've bought it. You've paid more than they did already. Obviously you get the 250 back if you get it back, brackets undamaged, but you know, that's looking probably the fave option. I have spotted before a hoist, you know, the old block and tackle, as I would call it, but chained, or a chain one. In fact, it was the, was it Parkside? I had Park Life in my head. Parkside, you know, the cheapy Asda Lidl brand. I had seen those in Lidl Aldi, not Asda. I say Little Audi because mentally I can't distinguish between the two, and they're the same thing as far as I'm concerned, but and it winds up my life permanently. But I have seen them in there before, and I was tempted, but it had been opened and was abused and all that sort of thing, so I didn't get it. But I have found one on eBay, and I'll give that a go. I mean, it goes up to the weight required. But we shall see. My slight concern is got to hang it from somewhere, and I'm not entirely sure how the wooden beams are going to survive. I have to tuck my mirrors in because I ain't getting through it. That's my my ceiling of the garage, but I can only give it a go. I mean, I can hang from it with my arms quite happily. Like I say, I'm about the same weight as that engine, albeit spread over a broader mass. Yeah, so the intention really is to sort of 3/4 build the bench, sides and the back, have the top ready to go, manhandle the engine under there, hoist the engine up, then build the platform and lower it onto the platform. That's the plan. That's the plan. What we could end up with is a fairly fucking disastrous upload of me trying to do it, but it'll be fun, and more importantly, I'll take you along if you want to watch it, and you can enjoy the journey. Right, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to love you and leave you, because fucking idiot trying to get run over, because I get the strange feeling this journey is going to be fucking horrendous. Fighting through commuter traffic with all the normal train traffic and cars. Arse. Catch you later, people. Ta-da. This is fucking mental. Right. Being in central London on a tube strike day, I thought getting in was difficult, getting out's turning into a fucking nightmare, and only just started. Well done, that man. Fucking idiots just walking across the road staring at their phones when the lights are on red. Get off your phone, you numpty. Maybe there should be mobile phone rules about pedestrians. Fuck me. That's 2 sets of fucking lights where nobody's actually fucking got through.